welcome to I'mPossible Live. Welcome back if you're joining us today. And you are in for such another magnificent special treat. I'm in a toast mood today. Toasting life, toasting you, toasting your milestones. Yes, with my Wendy's cup filled with iced coffee, with celebrations, whether you're celebrating life, love, some good news, some win. This is for you and for your wins today. Today's fantastic, amazing, returning. I'm not going to call her a guest. She's a member of extended family. Shell is here for another celebration, for a preparation for next week's 3-year celebration of I'mPossible Live. Shell is here to light us up and lift us up and get us going. And Amazing Shell suggested today's title, Intentional Momentum. So without further ado, let's give you a little bit more of a magic for those of you who have not had a chance yet to meet this brilliant, brilliant woman. Welcome back, Shell.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited. Pom-poms on the way. I don't have them today, but I will soon so that I can have that prop to cheer with. For anyone who has never had a conversation with me before, or who has never seen Mel and myself in action together, I'm Shel Shapiro. I am affectionately your LinkedIn cheerleader. That is true whether we work together or we don't. Like, I am here to root and cheer you on, encourage you to be your best, brightest, most authentic self on LinkedIn, and to help you get excited, more excited to engage on the platform, to really enjoy the conversations that you're having. We talk a lot about ways to be intentional with your engagement, but something we don't often talk about is how to be more intentional with our momentum. And I think those things go hand in hand. So that's why I was really excited to have this conversation with you and your audience today, Mel.
Well, welcome back and welcome back, amazing Kimberly Lechnick. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your stellar support. And for those of you who have not had a chance, you need to check out amazing Kimberly Lechnick and Jim Berger, who are there. And Shell, you're getting fan mail.
I know,
You're
I
getting
see it.
fan mail. I love it. I love it. So Jen's saying Shell had an AI generated roast that had her grinning from ear to ear. Straight up,
I
that
love it.
AI roast was
And
off the chain.
and even that was super intentional, right? Like, even if I take that for a second and just go with it. First off, thanks, Jen, for your feedback and for being here as a super supporter. We love it. We love seeing you here. And I'm really glad that you were grinning from ear to ear with that post. Like, I was inspired by somebody else's post that I saw, of them roasting their husband, and using AI to do it. And I was like, okay, I'm curious. What would happen if I just did this? But the reason that I did it and put it out there on LinkedIn wasn't to just have a laugh and to like poke fun at myself. One, I wanted to see how spot on it would be. And I had to go through a few iterations to get there. But two, I wanted my audience to really feel the fun. There doesn't always have to be like, I post this on Mondays, I post this on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays I do this, on Thursdays I do this, on Fridays I do that. There doesn't always have to be this like buttoned up seriousness to all of your posts, to all of your content, and to all of your engagement. You get to cultivate it and curate it in a way that feels good for you. And so part of the intention behind me putting up that post was I wanted people to see that you could have a little fun. Sometimes I do it at my own expense. Sometimes I'm just being silly in general, but like, you get to break from that. And that, so I just wanted to say, yes, that post was also very intentional in the way and the reason behind why I did it.
I love that. And you're reminding me, Kimberly Lechnick in The Power of the Moment. Kimberly's got an amazing community. It's a group on LinkedIn, and she's got a collection of us who pop in on Clubhouse. So previously it was on LinkedIn Audio, and on Tuesdays at 11 Eastern, Kimberly is on Clubhouse for those of you who haven't had a chance yet to hear her beautiful voice. And I say beautiful voice too because Kimberly's the first one who came up with the concept of intentional at the beginning of this year. And I loved it because in previous years, the word deliberate was one of my words of the year. And I love the idea of the intentional. But when Shoal and I were talking about it, we're talking about it in the process too of sometimes you're just trying to get some traction. You're trying to look at your progress and how you move from one place to another. And sometimes in the process, we don't realize we're moving. It doesn't seem like it. To us, we seem lateral steps. Sometimes we're in quicksand. Sometimes we're stuck in one place. And I just love our conversations about the movement and the process of action. Reminds me of the little kids in Little League. And one of the things they used to get the kids to say was action, action. We need action. In the momentum side, other than Shell and I chair dancing, which you'll see in some of our previous lives and some of our future ones, what in the world would you say as people are trying to take the engagement to kind of create some momentum?
Yeah. So first, I love how you said that sometimes when we're going through the motions of things, we don't realize that we're actually in motion, and creating, cultivating, generating that momentum in the first place. The reverse of that is also true sometimes, of like, we're doing all the things. We're engaging, we're commenting, we're joining groups, we're attending events, we're in the DMs, we're connecting with people, we're doing all the things, and it's just keeping us stuck. So it it's also really intentional to reflect on where am I? What's happening right now? Am I moving? Am I stuck? Am I, in a pause? Is some Do I need to adjust and iterate? And like finding that flow so that you can get back into the action or keep that action going. Um, Now, when it comes to cultivating that momentum with engagement, I I want to be mindful that everybody's process looks different. What works for somebody, what works for me, what works for Mel, what works for Kimberly, what works for Eugene, what works for Jen, and anybody else watching now or on the replay, like, it's all going to be different. There may be some similarities here and there. There may be some overlap. But overall, like, you have to find the ways that work for you. And so if you think about what does momentum look like, okay, my word for the year is expansion, which I think is a variation of momentum. Like, I want to grow. I want to branch out. I want to flourish and spread my wings in a few different directions. It's it's momentum in a different sense of, like, I'm not just going up. I'm going now. How do I do that? And where do I want to go? And where do those different branches lead? And every action I take, I need to come back to, why am I doing this? I need to come back to the intention. What's the reason that I'm doing this? Does it tie to why I'm here? Is this going to impact me? Is this going to help and be beneficial for anybody else that I need to do it? Or am I really just doing it because everybody else is doing it? Or am I just doing it because I don't know what else to do? Am I just doing it because it seems like the right thing to do, but I don't actually know? Come back to what come back to the intention. Set that intention for yourself. I've had quite a few conversations with people where I'll ask a question and I don't intend for it to go here, so maybe using my own words against me now, but like where I'll ask a question without the intention of them answering it this way, and then it happens, and I'll say something along the lines of, "What's the reason you're doing this?" And yes, I'm asking what your intention is without saying that. And the response that I get, not all the time, but often enough, is, well, I don't know why I'm doing it. It just seemed like the thing to do. Or I'm doing it because they asked. I'm doing it because it feels right. Even that isn't an intention. Like there's nothing behind it. Let's dig deeper. Yes, it comes back to our purpose and do you know your why? If you don't know why you're doing something, then why do it? I don't want you to build momentum and go blindly into something. I want you to always come back. And sometimes if you do this enough, it'll be innate. It'll just happen. You don't even have to think about it. You just can operate once you've built your this habit. If you're not used to doing it, it's going to take some getting used to. Doesn't mean you shouldn't still ask that question every single time. What is the reason I'm doing this? Why am I doing this? And digging a little bit deeper. So I think I answered your question of like why it's important to think about being intentional when engaging and building momentum. I'd love to hear your view though, because I know we dig into some different nuances when you and I have these conversations.
I love that. And through a trust lens, and I really have to thank Yvette Bethel of Organizational Soul. She introduced the the concept to me during an emotional intelligence conference that trust was energy, trust was emotion, and it really helped me at a point where I really was feeling stuck, and it helped me get unstuck from the transparency perspective over time with exceptional support. And part of that's because I discovered positive intelligence at around the same time as I was about to start the trust work with Yvette. But what Yvette gave me as a frame, and I really appreciate this around intentional, was during a stellar course she has called Say Yes to Me. It's a course really to help us, and it helped me move from the trust shadows to self trust, which a lot of people are like, oh, you look like you trust yourself. But she introduced to me something that's really helping me with intention. It's around the concept of what Yvette calls the three I's, which were instincts, intuition, and inner voice. Intentionally, as as a kid, I always shared the inner voice. Intentionally, as a kid, I I followed my intuition. There reached a point where trust was broken for me as a kid, and that really got me out of the three I's. It changed my intentions. My intentions actually were kind of hidden. It looked to everybody else like it's got incredible energy. She knows where she's going. She knows what she's doing. But I realized later parts of me were stuck in that loss of the three I's as I frame them now. And as I'm framing them, as I'm working on an advanced trust facilitator project for Yvette. And I'm really taking my time with it as opposed to let's do what doesn't feel like an aligned job on the project. And I'm really grateful for my team in a village, including Amazing Shell, and this new village we're building in the Trust Master classes. which will lead into some more intentionally good things. But what I really appreciate is Jen's got a really long, meaty, juicy, woo! We are going to have some steak or some portobello mushrooms here because Jen has one of those amazing Jen thoughts that's going to give Shell and I and you something to chew on for a while. So feel free, if you're watching us on a replay, pop in, let us know what Jen's bringing up for you and what the conversation is bringing up for you. And here we go with Jen's. Here it comes. I love it because Jen's tying into what Shell was saying in the process of doing all the things. It's what some would call the act of busyness, or the reminder that as entrepreneurs, like we're a work in progress. And I love that Jen's mentioning it took radical bravery to try something new and different. Woo, 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 Jen, that's a mic drop.
I am so
Cultivating
proud
the,
of you.
mm, we both are. We both are. That last sentence, cultivating the intentional momentum around my new path has been a challenge, but I know it will take me to where I need to be. Wow, Jen. That's awesome. Whew.
Through a lens of someone like myself, I'm speaking from my own experience right now, uh, of somebody who is used to overcomplicating everything for myself. I can strip it away very easily for others, but overcomplicating for myself is probably a superpower and a curse at the same time. And I really resonate with that, Jen, because like for me, like learning with stellar support how to strip away some of the things that I was overcomplicating and take away some of like the extras that I thought I needed that I didn't actually need, and getting right down to all right, here are the steps I need to take. I don't need any of the other filler. These are nice to haves, or this is totally unnecessary, or like I don't even need to focus on this. I can have somebody else do it, and stripping down to like, here's what I actually need, and being really, really crystal clear. Some not easily in like it takes a lot of like time to most of the time to like strip that away of and let go of the things that we tie ourselves to like we really think we need to get down to all right, let's simplify this process. What does it need to look like for me? What is going to actually work? And some of that intentional momentum also comes from trying things and seeing what doesn't work. So I love that you have been finding your new path. And I also love that it's been kind of challenging because you're testing things to see, all right, does this stick? Does this make sense? Do I continue with this or is it just good? Is it good enough that I tried it out and now I can leave it where it is and I know it's not for me?
Wow. You're really helping also in the process of digging down or deep dives. And I say this all the time. Part of it I think has to do with milestones. So next week is 3 years of Impossible Lives. In the process, it's a really good chance to lean into that theme of reflections. And as Shell's saying this, I know for me, like that process of mixing stuff up, which is why I have a love for alchemy, which can really help us create magic if we locate really safe spaces to like mix it up. And I remember one of my collaborators said years ago, Mel, you market by committee. And I smile because, dear newbie, I said, no, I don't. He says, oh, no, you market by committee. You're asking what others think. I said, I'm asking them what they think. I'm not asking them to make the decision for me. That's the difference. And I think sometimes it's the devil's advocate. What I've acknowledged is kind of my internal disruptor that occasionally can appear revolutionary or evolutionary, for lack of a better term. And I never realized that love for exploration. But as a teacher's kid, I had to acknowledge it. I think the thing too is the alignment part is what I understand now when I'm taking lateral steps. I'm now working across the same level as opposed to before sometimes it looked to others like I was stuck on a deep dive or, oh my gosh, what in the world is she thinking? She's not saying it. And I would crack up sometime because I was in environments where I didn't feel safe and I didn't feel respected. And in some cases, I was in environments where any suggestion I made, it ended up being someone else's thought, the other. And I'm good because some of these were suggestions or insights about the greater good. And it just helped enrich the community or really helped others or it helped others learn. But I decided when I kept running into passive aggressive people, I wasn't giving them any more ideas anymore that they could take credit for. And that became part of the intentionality to really choose. And I appreciate all of the amazing human design uh, coaches. Hey, Lowe's, how are you? Thank you so much for popping in and welcome back. That all the human design coaches helped me understand that I needed to explore because I was going through that. Is this for me? Is this not for me? Is the knowledge for me? Is the knowledge for someone else? Is the choice for someone else? But I now know in the lateral steps that working back and forth, I'm musical without being a conductor. And I realize it's almost like, and Shell's helped me understand this from diving into my pop's love for music and our mutual love for music. Part of it is creating music. Does this feel like it resonates? I'm learning now to, in the intentional, to start sharing from the lens of am. I am working on this. I am working towards this. I am interested in this. I am excited about this. I am in love with this to to guide the action. And I know it's a lot at one.
Oh no, did we lose her? How do I fill the space? I feel like this has happened before, and previously when it happened, somebody else jumped in and was singing, but that is not me. I love that Mel was talking about. Oh, she's back. Okay, we're back. I was trying to filibuster.
I adore you. I
I
was
was like, I'm
smiling.
not the singing one. I can't sing
You
right
don't
now.
laugh at. I mentioned music and conducting, and I move my hands, and the controls are like, oh, she wants to move out of here. It's the Shell and I were joking about songs before and movement and flying, and hey, I guess Mel flew. It's an interesting celebration, and thank you, Shell, for holding the fort. Back to you, beautiful Shell.
Well, I like what you were saying about going in those lateral motions and ebbing and flowing and having it be almost musical in the way you intentionally move. Um, I love thinking about it as a song. And when you briefly popped out, I was like, "Oh no, I'm not the one to be like filling the space with us with singing." I know you did have a guest that did that, and I can't remember right now
Oh,
who it
it's
was.
Roz Clark, and Roz Clark will crack up because Roz Clark will tell you I left Roz for almost 4 minutes. We learned how beautiful Roz's voice is. We'll have to tag her and send you to some of her musical comments. You definitely do have the magic to keep on going. You're an
Yeah,
amazing live stream host. You're an amazing live stream guest. And honey, don't even worry. I'm back. We're back.
you you are back. And so like if we think about it as music, as like that musical vibe, uh, and I do this in my posts sometimes too. Again, for when I want to have like a whimsy or like a fun or like I want somebody to like, all right, this is reminding me of this song. There's a reason that I'm doing it like that. But like if you think about how you show up through the lens of a song, you ever get a song stuck in your head? I probably several songs for me throughout the day and I'm like, why can't I get that out? And I'm like, all right. Then I start singing the lyrics to myself, and then before I know it, usually in my head because I'm not going to quit my day job. I can't sing or hold a note, but or in the shower if I'm really just wanting to pretend that I have a good voice, singing voice. But like sometimes I'm like replaying those lyrics in my head, and then I start to rewrite them. Here's what I actually want to hear, but I want it to be in this style. Here's the flow that I want to be in. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to do this. It's just sometimes it inspires me. That's where a lot of my content comes from. Is like, oh, I had this song stuck in my head today, or somebody said this thing and then I was singing this song because it reminded me of that. Or my brain operates very much in that musical ebb and flow and vibe of like, all right, what can keep me in my chill? Because when those moments when I'm not sing-songy, or even if it's like really like boom 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 boom, like, and that's the beat, it's still, I'm getting in that vibe, I'm feeling that presence, like I'm letting it like work through me, and that's intentionally keeping me from just sitting in a feeling, whatever that feeling is. It's helping me like move through it, it's helping me explore it, and even just going into the lyrics of what it is versus what I make it, like those moments where I like change the lyrics to something else, like that helps me process it so that I can share it with others too. Sometimes it's fun
Ah,
just to sing the song or to dance in the moment, but like I really take that time to like live in it. And so that for me, and again, this is just, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot. It happens enough of the time where there is something to that, with that you're saying that you move in lateral motions, that you don't just, it's not just an uphill climb. It's not just like staying on the same plane. You're swaying back and forth. We're chair dancing through the momentum, literally.
those climbs can be exhausting because sometimes they're solo. Sometimes it's a we're sorting through a lot of thoughts, a lot of something. I was watching Survivor last week, and actually, no, it was Amazing Race. And in Amazing Race, watch the first show, and they're showing people having to climb to reach for something. And you're watching the effort, you're watching the energy, you're watching the fear. And I think sometimes, as we're talking about momentum, they really could feel like they were losing their momentum. What I loved was this one woman, and you hear her out loud. They've got her mic'd up. She's talking in her head. You're hearing oh my goodness, how am I going to start this? How am I going to do this? What I loved was you hear her husband cheering her on and cheering on and cheering on and cheering her on. And she reaches the top and she picks the envelope that has the clue into the next location. And she comes down, and you see a different look. You see a different look than that look of fear. And I think sometimes that those climbs can really take us into the saboteurs or into the dark narratives. And I learned, and maybe because I love ice skating, that lateral movement is sometimes an acknowledgement. In the old days, I was like, spending time trying to make this a work of art, like you're smoothing all the edges, or we're frosting a cake and we're trying to make it absolutely beautiful. But I think it's the process of taking a step to explore, to acknowledge, to do it, whether it's in safety, it's private, whether we're doing it with a collaborator, with a team member, with some exceptional support. And I love that newbie described it years ago, and he's the one who helped me with my original Event Alchemy logo, that it is not to get it to be absolutely perfect. It's just to really feel it, because I love what Shell's saying about beat. If the resonance isn't there, it may not be in alignment with the goals, with the initiatives, with the direction. But I really am leaning into the music, possibly through the lens of last year. That song, Everything Must Change. There's like a million versions of that song that I love. Everything Must Change. Some of it's bittersweet because some of the changes we could do without. But I love it because Shell's saying she needs pom poms. And I'm going to find some pom poms for her. They're going to be blue, they're going to be teal, because by the time we get to our summer retreat, you are going to have some pom poms, different sizes, different colors that match that match the Shell energy. If Shell doesn't find them, the former gifts and incentives lady, I will find them for you very soon. In fabrics, hopefully, that you're not allergic to.
I love it. I love it. A song that came to mind too just now is, and like talking about, I'm picturing like a pendulum, but also like the song that came to my mind as I keep doing this and like talking about like the ebb and flow and like going with the music is Opposites Attract, like the one step forward, two steps back, Paula Abdul vibe. And it just reminds me that like, and I know I've said this before, like that the momentum is not linear, and it's also just not a consistent upward momentum, right? Like we go forward a little bit, we reflect, we go forward a little bit. I know it's opposite on my screen, so forgive me, but like picture it reversed. We go forward a little bit, we come back. We go forward a little bit, like it almost like I'm making a Christmas tree. Like a very line art Christmas tree in that, because I'm
It
like,
reminds me. It
yeah,
reminds me of voguing. It reminds me of voguing.
like we have to reflect on the things that and look at, all right, like what works. This didn't work, we're going to leave it behind. All right, this part worked, we'll move forward with this. Now what steps can we make to have this keep going forward? Okay, well that didn't work, take that out. Like now add this. Okay, this works, keep going. This didn't work, let's take it out. Like we're constantly going back and forth and iterating, and so it's not going to be that smooth, like you almost need to pause and reflect, pause and reflect, pause and reflect, grow, pause and like it's, you have to find what that flow looks like for you.
Ah, I love that. And not just because Yvette Bethel wrote a book, Interconnectivity, Flow, and Balance. And I appreciate it. Talking recently about balance, and that maybe it just means integration. Maybe it just means the process of figuring out what feels right for you and when it feels right for you. And I love, you know, Jen's comment about sometimes we need to realize what's keeping us busy. Sometimes others would call it a block. In this process of launching Trust Master classes, which continues, and under CEDAR, which each letter stands for something. CEDAR is cultivate trust, explore trust, develop trust, attract trust, rejuvenate trust. And then it'll end in identify trust opportunities. And in the process, I really was grateful to have a really deep conversation with Shell about some of the feedback I was receiving and some of the feed forward. And we love it when we're trying something new to have stellar support. And thank you again, Amalia Gardner in Audio Leadership Club, for suggesting March as Trust Month. And especially when working on this project. But in the process of intentional momentum, somebody asked a question that didn't align with my intentions. It made me think of maybe I need to investigate another lateral step. And then I really appreciated it because a positive intelligence coach who joined us, actively participating and engaging with lots of sage energies. She encouraged me, keep going, just keep going. And I think that's the part sometimes, whether it's an incline, whether it's flat, we need the encouragement as well as the stellar support and the safety to kind of support those next steps. Shell, where should we go next?
One of the things that I've been reflecting on with regards to our momentum together, and um, Tiffany asked us this question the other day when we were on a call with her, and she kept asking, because we're building this beautiful retreat for the summer, and she asked a question about what did I want from the retreat, or how many people, and I couldn't answer the simple question of how many people I envisioned at this retreat. And I was like, I have so many other questions that are coming up for me before I even can think about a number, before I can wrap my brain around it. And I was like, I literally in this moment just need you to ask me the questions. And she was like, I could create a questionnaire for you. Like, I'll create a form. Like, oh, I was like, I just need something to get it. The best way that you can help me build this momentum and be intentional with it is to help me get it out of my head. We've talked for months about what our vision is, for this retreat, what we'd like to have happen, where we'd want to have it, when we're going to do it. We have pulled, like we've set these things in motion. And yet there was something that was still stuck for me, right? Of like answering such a simple, how many people do you want? I couldn't do it. And you know what I did after that call? I literally, when it came to, I was like, I need to be intentional with this. Like, we've talked about it. We've talked, I have pages of in my notebook of like these beautiful, like, nice to haves, like this vision. And I'm like, I need to get this out of my head. And I created this document, right? And that is how I build, how I can build, help myself build momentum, and how I can also still contribute so that we as a group can build momentum together. Because if I can't get it out of my head, then there's no one that can help me. I had to go back to basics for myself and get really, like, I sat there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours almost, and literally just, here's a brain dump. Let me in if this could work out exactly, the almost like a vision map. Uh if this could look exactly how I wanted it to, what would the ideal itinerary be like? And I wrote it out day by day. Here's what I want to include. Here's what I want to offer people. Here's what I want to, them to take away. Here's how I want them to feel. And I did it day by day for like what, our 8 to 10 day retreat. Like, it's not a 3-day thing that, like, okay, we're doing this, this, and this. No, like, I was like, how do I make this cohesive? My point in all this is, like, we ask the questions of others. It's not always intuitive for me to go back and ask myself that question. I literally had to put my coaching hat on for myself and be like, all right, let's work through it, girl. Here's where we got to go. Here's where we want to go. Now, how do we get there? And now that it's out of my brain, now we can play with it and move it around and shuffle it and get it to look even better. But had I not taken that step, right, like, we would be going back and forth in circles, and I'd constantly be in that place of, I don't know how to answer this. Now we have a place to start from.
And I think of the wonderful thought, as you're saying, when you're thinking of things that happen over time, and at the same time we're really conscious of really respecting our sustainable energies and respecting the energies of the guests who join us, of the presenters who join us, of the VIPs who join us. And we wanted to slow things up a little bit with some VIP days. So I think the important part, like you're saying, of the wish list, see, I think of it and you're going to laugh. I have my musical soundtrack laid up for the rest of the afternoon. I started before Shell got here today. She will laugh. And one started with a song that Shell and I were talking about around a post that Shell did recently with I Believe. So I was listening to songs about belief that make me really want to believe. And the song I'll listen to as I'm doing my brain dump and sharing it with Shell a little later this week will be Annie Lennox's Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. Because from years of being in events, and Stephanie Padnovi, I thank you for suggesting years ago that for every event, there's a one sentence business plan. So for me, in my mind, to do the brain dump, I got to get those one sentences right in terms of we got an overall theme, but to really drill down. And I think that part of the dreams part, we don't really match those dreams with our intentions because some of our intentions we don't share, we don't voice them. They're just dreams that can either fade away or evaporate or wither, as they would say, like the play The Raisin in the Sun. We don't want things to just dry up. We don't want to lose that magic. So I love in our process, and I'm grateful because Shell's here today because amazing Tiffany Velvet English of Event Alchemy, if you haven't met her yet, she's Velvet Style Event Marketing. Tiffany's going to be in New York in 2 days. I can't wait to meet her. What she's going to laugh at, Shell, is as opposed to when we met with Charlene Brown and we really had some great magic as lunch became dinner. So it turned into dinner, 4 hours. Is Tiffany will laugh. Tiffany will laugh because she says she's coming back to New York. So I'm like, okay, whenever you come back, we'll just keep connecting. But she's got a jam packed agenda as she checks out venue locations. And I'm laughing because we're going to pick her up and take her back to the airport. And she laughed. I'm like, I would come pick you up from the airport. And then she told me she was coming in at 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Adore you. Not the day of the time change. Adore you. But I appreciate it, Jen, because you're saying it in another way about how to fix stuff. So let's share Jen's gem.
Love that. We do have to wrap our hands around it before anyone else can actually help.
In our world of people offering solutions, and as I rebrand as Be Visible Solutions, people are always looking for how can you help me fix this? What's the answer? And you're right, whether it's exact issues or it's figuring out what's at our core or what our values are or what the dream is. But I love in Shell's brain dump for the retreat, we have Shell's vision and Shell's dreams. And I promise to match that with her same amazing energies. For those of you who are joining us today for the very first time, Shell and I have a couple of conversations that we've had previously, cultivating collaborations and conversations that lead to collaborations, and someone sharing on Meta a comment about the reminder in our fragile world that there are a lot of people who really need our prayers and support. And there are a lot of not for profits who are looking for help and solutions, whether it's for children, other great humans, or I'm on the board of Fearless Hudson Valley. We have a celebration of hope brunch on April 6th, and next year will be our 40th anniversary. So you're reminding me in terms of intentional momentum. I'm planning my silent auction gifts and got a great. I have to thank Shell for introducing me to the fabulous Whitney King. Whitney King's amazing Wave of Mind journals are going to be part of the silent auction gifts. I'm delighted to have a chance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shell, what shall we leave our hopefully less fragile world at the moment with today?
Well, one, I really appreciate all of you for tuning in and for being here for this conversation. Uh, and what my intention is that what you'll take away from this conversation is some nuggets around how to be more intentional with your own momentum. Whether that's pausing and reflecting on what's working and what's not, whether that's noticing whether you are actually in action right now, or maybe you're stuck or somewhere in between, like taking notice of where you are. um, whether you are in a season of recognizing that you need support from someone that can help you cultivate and generate that momentum. um, yeah, I really, the intention is to leave you better than and in a safer place than when you first came here. And that's always one of the intentions, right? Is to make sure that you feel safe to keep doing what you're doing. And having more information and knowledge around that, take from it what you will, leave what you don't, and find ways to intentionally build that momentum by yourself or with some stellar support.
Mm, love that. Thank you so much, Shell, for popping in to join us today. Not just for chair dancing and fabulous toasts, but with your amazing energy
And music.
and music and smiles across the miles. And I just really want to thank you for helping take steps towards engagement in a way that doesn't feel icky, where I'm able to really lean into keeping sustainable energies. And like today, I know this is a music day. I am going to listen to music for the next 5 hours while creating, while enjoying, while following up, while preparing for tomorrow's masterclass with amazing Shanti Joy Gold, who was also one of our guests. But this process also of celebrating 3 years of I'mPossible Live next week. Thank you for being here last year to really kick off last celebration and to really help me plan behind the scenes on a day where that energy really served well. But I want to also just thank you for being wonderful you. If you haven't had a chance yet, check out Amazing Shell. If you're on LinkedIn, check out that fabulous link in her profile, which leads to more of the discoveries about how wonderful Shell can help you engage in a way that doesn't make you feel icky, that makes you feel comfortable, that helps you find, discover more intentions, increase your engagement, cultivate some momentum, take some amazing steps in the directions you're trying to get to. Shell, thank you so much. And thank you for listening. If you're listening live or on replays, if you're catching us on YouTube, thank you for your feedback. Thanks for increasing our I'mPossible Live Village with your amazing vibes. And let's keep holding great space in our fragile world as we try to stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, and please stay in touch. And we hope you have a magnificent day filled with opportunities, possibilities, and woo, some intentional momentum. Take great care. Be well.
Here's
Thanks
to
again,
that.
Shell.